everyone, this is Trisha Thompson from Gluten Free Watchdog. I'm going to be talking with you today about testing gluten-free foods for spotty gluten contamination like you might find in a restaurant setting using the Nima. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you about the amount of product that the Nima team says you should use in a Nima capsule to test your sample for gluten. This is considered a pea-sized amount. It is a very, very small amount. I've taken a lot of photographs that I'm posting along with this video. I've also printed them out so that I can show you the photos as I'm describing the experiment that I did today. So first, I took some wheat-based crackers and I placed them on a cutting board. I removed the crackers and I was left with some crumbs. There's a very big piece of cracker there, but there are also a lot of smaller crumbs that you may or may not be able to see. I then took some rice crackers and I placed them on the cutting board in the same area that I had placed the wheat-based crackers. I then broke off randomly a piece of rice cracker and I smushed it up in my hand and I put it in the capsule and I tested the sample for gluten contamination. And this is what I got, which is a smiley face, which means gluten-free. Now, I don't think that any of us would want to eat rice-based crackers or gluten-free bread or any gluten-free product that had been prepared or placed on top of a cutting board or any surface that had previously been used for a gluten-containing product. So you may be wondering, how is it that the Nima did not detect the gluten contamination that was probably on some of these crackers? So I did another visual aid to make it a little clearer. I sprinkled some red sugar onto a paper towel, and then I placed rice crackers on top of that paper towel. And as you can see, some of the rice crackers have more red sprinkles than others, but the red sprinkles are not evenly distributed on any individual rice cracker or between the rice crackers. So if the red sugar sprinkles represent, say, wheat-based crumbs, and I'm taking just a random sample of one of these crackers, it's very likely that I'm going to test a piece of cracker that does not have a red sprinkle on top of it. In other words, a wheat-based crumb. So this is why the Nima did not test at low gluten or high gluten when I tested these rice crackers that were placed on top of wheat-based crackers. I hope that helps explain things. I should also probably add that when a lab is testing foods, or if a manufacturer is testing for cross-contact in their facility, they are testing a much larger sample size. Initially, they are homogenizing 5 grams, 50 grams, 200 grams, depending upon the specific food and the extraction method that they're using. And this is for lateral flow devices as well, and the Nima is a lateral flow device. And they're homogenizing that sample, and then they're taking a much smaller amount of that sample, but it's a homogenized sample that they're taking. So hopefully any gluten contamination that might be present on a gluten-free product has been evenly distributed and therefore will be detected when testing is done. The Nima capsule itself grinds up and homogenizes whatever sample is in that capsule, but you're taking it from a non-homogenized sample. I hope that makes sense. So if you are randomly taking a piece of cracker, for example, that doesn't have any gluten contamination on it, it doesn't matter how much you grind it up. You're not going to detect any gluten, okay? This is different from what a lab does or what a manufacturer does who's using a lateral flow device made by, say, our biofarm. They are homogenizing, mixing up a much larger sample, and then testing a sample from that homogenized sample. I hope this makes sense. I know it's complicated stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know.